Hi, I'm Joel Reedy, an attorney at Cornerstone Law Firm. Today I want to talk about how to beat your DUI in Pennsylvania. The first thing that you do to beat your DUI is you see if you can challenge probable cause. Now, under the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, as well as under Article 1, Section 8 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, you have a right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures by police officers of any kind. So if a police officer says that he pulled you over because you ran a stop sign, or because you weren't using your blinker, that's a good enough reason for him to pull you over, and it may have caused him to then initiate a conversation with you in which he determined that there was alcohol in your breath or smell of marijuana in the car, and he pulled you out and did field sobriety tests, and kind of everything went from there. However, what we often find when we investigate these cases is that the police officer either didn't have a reason at all to pull them over, or, in many cases, they claimed something that wasn't true. So they say, oh, you didn't use your blinker, but you know you did. Or they say, oh, you rolled that stop sign, but you always come to a complete stop. So how do we prove that they're lying? Thankfully, this has gotten easier because of motor vehicle recordings. Almost every police officer in Pennsylvania at this point has a motor vehicle recording in their car. Not all of them, but many. The state troopers all do. Local police departments usually do. And this means that if they were following you for several miles and said you went over the line a couple of times, we'll be able to tell whether that's true or not. In Pennsylvania, it's not enough to say you went over the line one time. They have to show that you moved over the line several times. In fact, the case law implies it really has to be more than two. And that means that if they say that you pulled over the line and we're able to watch the video and show that you didn't, that may be enough to have the whole case thrown out. It is considered the fruit of the poisonous tree. That's what the courts call it. So if we can show that it was not probable cause to pull you over in the first place or to search your car or pull you out for field sobriety tests, then everything has to be thrown out and your case is dismissed. The second way you might be able to beat your DUI is by investigating whether the field sobriety tests were good enough. So an example of this is you're pulled out of your car, you're asked to walk along the road, and the officer then sees if you can keep your balance, and he might ask you to count backwards or say the alphabet or touch your nose. He might have you move your eyes back and forth to see if the horizontal gaze nystagmus is proper or whether it's impaired as a result of alcohol or marijuana or some other drug. Often, officers do not know how these work, or perhaps they do them, and in many cases they say, well, you failed it, even though you know you didn't. So once again, they do these in front of the motor vehicle recordings. And they do this ostensibly for their own reasons, to prove that somebody's lying later when they say they passed the tests. But sometimes we're able to get these videos and show that the person actually passed those tests, even though the officer then said, I think that you're drunk or high, and I'm going to take you in for a blood draw or something else. In those situations, we're able to show that ended the probable cause. The officer may have had a reason to pull you over. He may say that he smelled alcohol, but after he pulled you out, you passed those field sobriety tests. At that point, you have a good argument that the probable cause is gone, that the officer should have let you go on your way with just a traffic ticket or nothing else. So that's another way that we can challenge these field sobriety tests. And I should mention that it's really important that when it comes to dealing with drugs, many officers don't know how these tests are affected by the presence of marijuana, for example. So we often find that police officers say, well, the person looked high, but they can't articulate why when challenged on the stand. So understanding those issues is important. So there's a third way you can beat your DUI in Pennsylvania, and that's by not beating your DUI. If that sounds funny, what I mean by that is that many people call and say, look, that's all well and good. I explain their rights to them, and they say, I don't really want to fight over this for 6 months or a year. I don't want to risk having to go to trial. I don't like having to go to court. I'm scared of this. I have anxiety. I deal with other mental illnesses that might be exacerbated by this. In those situations, we help our clients to find programs that are appropriate for them where the DUI can either be dropped or dealt with as a minimal issue. One example of those programs is called ARD. It stands for Accelerated Rehabilitative Disposition. This is for first-time offenders under the DUI statute, and in some counties, it applies if you haven't had a DUI in 10 years. They'll still let you have the program even if you had something else in your past more than 10 years ago. There are other programs also, including Veterans Court, Treatment Court. Depending on the county you're in, there are all sorts of programs that you may be eligible for. We help clients figure out whether those programs are a good fit for them. We also help those clients figure out, in situations where no program applies, whether there's a plea deal that they'd rather pursue rather than fighting over it and going all the way to hearings and ultimately trial if necessary. So I hope this helps you as you figure out questions involving your DUI. If you want to speak with an attorney, feel free to call us at Cornerstone Law Firm. We'll be happy to take your call. I'll be happy to talk to you about your options.